Jon Runyon, an executive VP within the National Football League, who handed down the suspension and announced why. This is a guy that played in the National Football League for 14 years. Everyone I spoke to, Max, says, if you know anything about Jon Runyon, don't think for 1 second that it had no impact that Vontaze Burfict ran off the field smiling and waving and blowing kisses. Don't think for 1 second that Jon Runyon missed that.
That was a bad decision.
That was a bad decision on Vontaze Burfict's part. So they picked that up. Plus, he played 14 years in the league, all right? So it's a player. This is not Roger Goodell. This is a player. Marcus Spears, Ryan Clark, two former NFL players that are contributors to this show, came on. Ryan Clark said he had no problem with the penalties. Marcus Spears said, I hate to do it, but if this dude wasn't playing football anymore, wasn't allowed to play football anymore, I wouldn't have any problem with that. So individuals who are on the field, whether they're from the league office or on television as pundits, who participated in National Football League action, who are fully aware of the rules and regulations governing the sport and understand the motivation behind it, player safety, making sure that, you don't do something to end cats' careers, cause them permanent damage beyond life after football, all the things that the NFL has been preaching about. They're like, this dude has been fined 13 different times. Enough's enough. And so when they say that, it's not so much I'm looking at it, Max, because I'm looking at it and I'm saying it's excessive. But why am I thinking it's excessive? It's because it's Vontaze Burfict. It ain't because I think the play is excessive. It's because it's Vontaze Burfict. And I think that that's what other players are looking at. They're saying this is a guy that's ignoring the rules and putting his own contemporaries in danger. It's hard for me, even though I understand the Players Association's position, Lamont Smith, his agent's position, it's hard, and Jon Gruden, because Jon Gruden's thinking about how it's going to hurt the team. Even though I get where they're coming from, it's hard for me to stand by them and support it. It really is.
Look, let me comment on Gruden's comments, right? Jon Gruden's doing the right thing because this is his player, it's his team. So the fact that the coach is standing up for his player is good. It's not only good for Burfict, it's good for the team. He's doing the right thing by his team. But sometimes that's doing the wrong thing by everybody else. So let's look at the reality of the situation. Do we all believe that Jon Gruden has a big influence on what personnel is on the team? Is he, in a sense, the de facto, even if you don't want to call him the de facto GM, does Jon Gruden get to say, hey, I want this guy on the team, I don't want, do we all agree with that?
Yes.
Right? More than just an average coach, correct? He's getting a $100 million contract.
18 additional million in getting incentives.
So
on top of the $100 million.
Burfict is on the team. Burfict's a team captain. So like, on the one hand, Gruden's doing the right thing, standing up for his guy. On the other hand, bruh, you chose this guy. He has status on the team. That has a lot to do with Gruden. That's a bad choice by Coach. Coach now has to stand up and say this stuff, which is the right thing by the player and the team, because he made a bad choice as coach. Look, I said this yesterday. It wasn't a football play to me, Stephen A., because I know the hands are out like this. They weren't really.
They weren't really out like that. You're absolutely right. It was like here.
He launched with his helmet at another guy's head. Yes, he was trying to get up. You could try to make a play, but he launched with his helmet at his head. And as I said yesterday, if the Riddler's coming out of the bank with the bag with the money signs on it, it's kind of tough for him to make an argument at that moment. No, I was just making a withdrawal. Batman might think, no, you were robbing the bank, right? That's so perfect for the 14th time. There's an incident. I mean, at a certain point. So I agree there's an overreaction from those who say that he should never be allowed in the league again. But as far as the rest of this year is concerned, I'm with it. Furthermore, this would be if I was the commissioner, if I was in charge, what I would say is you are for the rest of this year and then indefinitely until you can demonstrate in some way that you got a handle on this impulse control problem.
Let me come back at you because I want to hear your response to this. I don't fault Jon Gruden, and I'm not saying that you were, but I don't fault Jon Gruden in any way. I don't think Jon Gruden was just coming to the defense of one of his players. He's like, yo, I need this dude. Okay, and I do believe it was a football play. That's what Jon Gruden is saying. I believe that Jon Gruden believes it was a football play. I think Jon Gruden's old school. I think that because he's somebody that existed at a time before these rules and regulations essentially softened the game, I think he looks at it from that perspective and what guys in the past have had to endure. And he's saying, wait a minute here, this is a football play. Now, he understood. If you listen to his reaction immediately following the game, he knew that a penalty, you got ejected. You knew that a penalty was forthcoming. I think what you saw from Jon Gruden this morning or whenever that was, I think you saw a man that was livid because it's like the entire season. Have you guys lost your mind? The entire season over this? Yeah. That's where he's coming from, and I think that's legit. Also, when you see that,
it's not in a vacuum, though. If it was in a vacuum, he'd be right.
But the NFL says, and this is where somehow I got to talk to the league office because of this reason. We're saying it's not in a vacuum. According to Lamont Smith, according to the Players Association, and if you listen to Jon Gruden, they try to give the impression it is in a vacuum. We're not thinking about the past. Oh, the past is the past.
This is the past.
They need to stop. If
that's how they wanted to be judged as an isolated incident.
I'm saying that if the league is saying the past has nothing to do with this,
then it's not a season-long.
Then that's a different argument.
But again,
that's a different argument.
I don't think it's premeditated. Right. I hope it's not like he's saying, to hell with the rules, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Right.
But this man, and I will go back to that Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game every time when the whole world, the focus of the sports world, will he do something stupid? They need 14 yards for a first down. Game's over, play's over, game's over. He hands them 15. In the moment, he gives into his bad impulses, and until he works on that and demonstrates some kind of improvement, I would not let him back in the NFL.
All right, and just to be clear, Jon Gruden did make those comments this morning. Derek Carr also came out and defended Vontaze Burfict as well. And we know they'll be hosting the Bears on Sunday. We know Khalil Mack will be excited for that.
I will say this. What the hell is Derek Carr doing speaking up for Vontaze Burfict? What I mean by that is you're the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? You're on the offensive side of the ball.
Being a teammate.
No, all I'm saying is I would have preferred to see a linebacker speaking up for him. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.